All right, guys. Pyro has made another wonderful video about James Corden. Apparently, there's some really big drama going on. So I'm curious, actually. Huge James Corden drama. All right. Probably not that big. I don't really know what it is. Whatever.
James Corden is someone we're all aware of behind the scenes. Isn't that great of a person? You could ask for anything for Christmas, maybe some Fortnite V-Bucks, or maybe for dad to come home after he left to get milk 11 years ago.
Well, maybe the reason why your dad left 11 years ago is because you asked for Fortnite V-Bucks. You ever think about that?
You could ask anything for Santa, but if Santa was James Corden, he would come down that chimney.
Should I make a senior quote, a Papiga quote? Absolutely. Just make your senior quote incredible.
And give you nothing except a signed autobiography about himself. I made a video a couple months ago talking about how bad James Corden really was. It was me just kind of reacting to a Sunny V2 video.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that bad. It was, he's a little bit of an asshole, but like, who cares? Aren't we all?
Shout out to my boy Sonny, he's paying the bills, we're eating good because of him. But there has been some more recent developments in the James Corden saga. This horrible back and forth. It's going on like a game of Wii tennis, and it doesn't seem to end. Now, I'm sure you're aware of this story because Critical already covered it, but there has been an update. Please keep watching. There's a restaurant in New York called Balthazar, and that restaurant has recently banned James Corden from ever going there again just because of how rude he was. Now, this restaurant, Balthazar, sounding like a boss in a From Software game, it's owned by a guy called Keith, and he posted the equivalent of a twit longer in an Instagram post. One thing I love about this call out as well, the picture he uses of James Corden, he could have just opened up Google Images, downloaded the first thing and then put it on there, but no, he's obviously pulled out his phone and just took a picture of his laptop. Now, he gave two examples for the reasoning behind the permabanning. The first one was he got a meal and there was a hair in his food, which honestly, that's fine to complain about. That isn't something you've paid for and can put a lot of people off their food, but it's how you deal with the situation that makes you an asshole or not.
Who cares? I really just don't. Like, okay, I think I heard about this story. Like, yeah, James Corden's kind of an asshole. Okay. Like, I feel like every celebrity's always been kind of an asshole. And then we just starting to care about that now, I guess. I mean, you don't have to think like Ellen. Like, I don't care. Well, Ellen was a little crazy, but I don't really care if you're a rude person. It doesn't take away from your stuff. As long as he's not doing anything illegal, like I don't care. I mean, I never watched James Corden, you know, because I'm not dumb. But like, who really, like, you know? Who cares?
I'm going to use a real world example here about myself because I truly am the nicest person to ever exist on the planet. I went to an Asian restaurant in Australia with some friends. One of my friends, they had like a bug in their food. He was doing like the breaststroke in the soy sauce.
Are you sure that wasn't part of the meal? Because, you know, Asian food's a little crazy sometimes, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I went over to the manager and said, food was amazing. Thank you. Appreciate it. But there was a bug in one of my friend's food. He can't really eat that because, you know, there's an insect in there. The guy was like, well, I don't know how it got there. Maybe in between handing the food. Basically, he was like...
Okay, well, so there's a bug in my actual food, like some of my soy sauce. If you were like, wow, dude, what the fuck? And you were a little irate, I think that's okay. I think it's okay to get a little irate sometimes. So if there's like an actual whole-ass bug in your food. But like, whatever. I mean, I wouldn't. I would just eat the bug. You know, it's in soy sauce. It's plenty of salt in there, so it's probably killed all the bacteria. So YOLO.
It's kind of like a sorry, not sorry situation.
I think that part of the problem is that millennials nowadays and stuff are too nice. Like, you guys are like somebody, like, you could order like a bacon cheeseburger with like no pickles, and they could put like you know, like double pickles on there, and you'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, I must have made a mistake ordering my food. You know, like Gen Zers and millennials, you're too nice. Like, you guys are just, I was very explicit about what I wanted, and you clearly messed up, so I'm going to apologize for it. I know, no, bro. You'd be like, hey, listen, you fucked up my order. You don't have to be mean about it. But I feel like we have a clash between people who are older, who can be kind of assholes, but also can stand up for themselves and set boundaries, and like younger people who will literally like cry at the face of any confrontation. It's the truth. And so now we think that James Corden is like the worst person in the world. Whereas like most people don't care. It's just because you're too afraid to like assert yourself at Starbucks. That's all it really comes down to.
But he took it off the bill. That's pretty much all you need to say. You don't need to get someone to admit fault. That's it. Case closed. And of course, James Corden could have took that route, even though a hair is much less distressing than a live insect going for, you know, the breaststroke world record. He said this, get us another round of drinks this second. And also, take care of all of our drinks so far. This way, I write any nasty reviews in Yelp or anything like that. The thing is, if your food is late and there's like a hair in it or something, it's fine for a restaurant to compensate you, maybe throwing like a free drink or something. It's not necessary. It's happened to me before. That's fine. And it could have been left at that. But no, James Corden decides to pull out his phone like it is the sword of Excalibur, thinking he could just use it to write a negative review and get an entire restaurant shut down. Now, you may be aware of the video game Payday 2, where you play a bunch of heisters going around robbing banks, opening vaults. If James...
I mean, just keep in mind that the truth is in between both messages, right? That's what this guy's saying. I'm sure that it's not the full truth, especially now where like James Corden is like such a negative bad guy on the internet that like you can say anything negative about him. not saying that the story isn't generally true, but
Corden were to be added to Payday 2, he would have no weapons equipped except his mobile phone, and his special ability would be using it to write a negative review of the bank he's robbing, and all the tellers, all the civilians, all the security would instantly kneel in front of him while the bank vault springs open and the money just gets teleported into his pockets. It's like those people that can't run a video game even though they're told the specs, and then they just give it a negative review anyway, thinking they're like changing the video game industry. Now that was the first incident. There was a second incident that was logged. Like, I feel like I'm talking about James Corden like he's some newly captured SCP or something. Apparently at a restaurant, his wife ordered an egg yolk omelette, a salad, and some cheese. Brave orders only on this channel. But when the food arrived, James apparently told the server that a little bit of the egg white had got mixed
and became a member.
Hey, thank you for the small guy, brother.
In with the egg yolk. Can you imagine being that petty?
Sorry, I didn't hear what he said.
If the egg white had got mixed. But when the food arrived, James apparently told the server that a little bit of the egg white had got mixed in with the egg yolk. Can you imagine being that petty? Can you imagine? Like, we're not talking about a hair or a bug or like someone's, you know, wedding ring stuck in the food. So James wanted them to redo the entire meal just because 2 bits of food are mixing to... Okay, you know what? I'm going to interrupt myself here. James, I want to put it out there, bro. If you eat food, I don't think your stomach makes any kind of difference. No one's stomach would make any kind of difference between the egg white and the egg yolk. Once it's in your stomach, it's all been broken down by the hydrochloric acid in there. I got to actually look if your stomach has hydrochloric acid, because if not, I've made the most stupidest mistake. What?
I wonder if it was like a super upscale restaurant. That's why he was complaining about dumb shit. I mean, either way, it's pathetic, but who cares? I mean,
Acid is in the stomach. Yes, it's hydrochloric. Yes, I'm a genius. I'm a genius. I'm better than Ludwig. I'm better than Crick. I'm going to one-take Andy all my videos from now on. So they profusely apologized, took the food away because the customer's always right, even if it is James Corden. They came back and they had the egg white and egg yolk separated. But there was a new challenger, a new problem. Remember that salad that came with the cheese? They got the order wrong. And instead of salad, it was fries. Now, the thing is, I do want to say, this is a rare situation where James Corden could possibly be in the right. You know, you've ordered something.
yeah, he's probably probably is in the right. It's weird that this is like we're talking about this. Like, who cares? Okay.
And you've been given something.
I mean, at this point, we're engaging in the petty drama between James Corden and the owner of a restaurant. That's really all it is.
Else. That's a wrong order. That is not James's fault at all. The egg white and egg yolk, okay, that's God tier cope. But this is different. You are genuinely getting something that you did not order. So he could have easily got it returned, complained about it, and he would have been well within his right. The thing is, because it's James Corden, he still manages, even though he is in the right, to fumble the bag and still make himself out to be an asshole. Apparently saying,
you can't do your job. You can't do your job. Maybe I should just go into the kitchen and cook the omelette myself.
I mean, considering that's the second time they fucked up his order, is he wrong? I mean,
and apparently he only calmed down after being offered complimentary champagne. I'm sure it was like, you know, a Dom Perignon vintage or something. To anyone that's watching that can't legally drink, which is probably all of you, that's an expensive champagne. Now, again, everything I've just said is not new. This has already been talked about, already covered by Critical. Once Critical covers it, it's dead. It's dead and it's buried. But there's an update. I'm talking about... okay, can we put breaking news at the bottom of the screen here? I'm talking about something right now that Critical has not yet talked about. There has been an update to this story. So Keith did another Instagram post using another like screenshotted picture of James Corden, making him look like he's a missing child since the 1970s, basically saying that James reached out in private on a phone call and apologized to him. That's great. He apologized in private. Fair enough. Case closed. Why am I talking about this? Because James took the very bizarre decision in a public interview to go completely back on himself, not apologize, and basically say he did nothing wrong in the first place. In a New York Times article that was basically used as a promo for his new show on Amazon called
all this is like a month old.
Mammals, he got asked again by the interviewer about the whole restaurant incident. You know,
this video was posted like yesterday. 3 days ago. This happened like a month or two ago. This is like old news.
So James Corden, in the light timeline, the good timeline, would have been like,
well, yeah, I was a bit of a silly Billy, wasn't I? I won't do it again. I did apologize to him. I even sent him my signed book.
But instead of doing that, this reality is unfortunately the dark timeline. And he chose to instead say, it's really bad that people are being put on blast on social media, using himself as an example. You know what, guys?
He's not wrong. It's like dumb to put everything on blast in social media. Like, we're at a time now where if you're wronged as a person, like, everything has to go on social media. Like, everything has to be a social media issue. We got to go on there. We got to expose this business. This person did this wrong. And there are times where it's necessary, but it's becoming so petty. It's like, why? Like, everything that everybody does is now social media, like, weird content. Like, yeah, he's not wrong about that. It's fucking weird. It's, like, very disconnected. Like, imagine, like, let's remove James Corden. Imagine you're having a bad day and you say, like, the wrong thing to somebody. Nothing terrible, but you're just, like, you're an asshole. Maybe you're at your job that you're like overworked and underpaid, or maybe you're just like on the street and you're having a rough day. Maybe your fucking boyfriend or your girlfriend broke up with you, and you say like you're kind of an asshole to somebody, and they're like, "Look at this guy, they're an asshole." Your whole life is like fucking. You could be like the biggest fucking laughing stock for the rest of your life, basically, or at least for a while. Like, yeah, it's kind of dumb and annoying, very childish.
If I ever ran a restaurant and someone was a complete dick to my staff, God forbid I ever blast them on social media, because they might actually feel remorse and shame. And then to add another layer onto it, he actually started to be a little bit snarky to the interviewer themselves. He said, I haven't done anything wrong on any level, so why would I even cancel this? I was there, I get it. I feel so zen about the whole thing, because I think it's so silly. I just think it's beneath all of us. It's beneath you. It's certainly beneath your publication. The wording here is so bizarre. It's like James Corden's acting like he's DB Cooper, and he doesn't want to admit that he was on the plane when all those people got robbed. So
nah, man, this is a guy that had a bad restaurant experience a few times. Like, if we really boil it down to what it is, this is kind of like silly that we're even talking about it.
He's admitting that he was at the restaurant, but like nothing else. And then the restaurateur, Keith, found out he basically went back on his apology and then ass blasted him. Apparently pulling up another quote James said, saying, I never screamed at anyone, I didn't shout, didn't call anyone a name, swear, or use any derogatory language. How is it remotely a thing? This even led to people at the Critics' Choice Award to roast James Corden again.
They showed us how grueling and absolutely miserable working in the restaurant industry can be. And they didn't even have to wait on James Corden.
The word derogatory was never even referenced. He didn't...
Well, that's funny, though. That's like comedy. Like, that's what people do. They make fun of people. That one's fine.
He was never derogatory. He was just being an asshole. James Corden be like, well, I never talked bad about the women, so I didn't really do anything wrong. It's a very bizarre scenario. Again, it's not really anything new. It's just more the fact that how he apologized. He was actually in the clear. And
I mean, maybe he apologized. Did we show that he actually apologized, or did that guy say that he apologized? I mean, like, who cares?
He completely fumbled the bag, and now everyone hates him again. There's been so much dogpiling on James Corden recently. I think even Ricky Gervais came out at one point. He's pretty controversial himself, saying that James Corden stole one of his jokes. But then he actually felt so bad for James Corden being shit on because everyone's just jumping on his back right now that he actually retracted, saying, I'm sure it was coincidence.
It probably was. That's how it happens all the time. There was Louis C.K. had like a joke stolen from Dane Cook, I think it was, and he was like, yeah, it's probably just one of those things where like maybe you, if it is even true, where like you hear a joke from somebody and like, oh, that's funny, and then you forget where you heard it from, and then you think that you came up with it. Like, probably. I mean, if you're telling like 100 jokes, like, yeah, you're bound to tell someone else's joke. Like, I've probably done it sometimes. Like, whatever.
When you first became aware of that, how did you first become aware that he had just told a joke?
Someone just tweeted it and added me in, and I did a little sarcastic thing. Great joke, right? But then he started getting grief, and I cancelled it. I deleted it because I started feeling sorry for him. There's no way.
Yeah, he was probably just making a little bit of poking a little fun, but now since like we're on the anti-James bandwagon, that fun little like silly joke Ricky Gervais makes turns into like, oh look, see, he's a real scumbag, and Ricky probably doesn't think that he's a scumbag.
He knew that was my joke. Whatever you think of James Corden, right? There is no.
That's true too. If James makes it on his own show, he probably doesn't write the jokes. He probably has a team of writers, so like, you know, which doesn't make it right, but it explains some of it. That happened with who's the really unfunny woman? Amy Schumer. Like, she was like stealing like not SNL. I think that she like was like taking Mad TV skits, right? And then, but it probably was somebody else writing it, which makes sense. I mean, you have a team of writers, like that is like a thing. That's kind of funny.
No way he knows.
That's true. I steal your guys' jokes all the time too. I look at the chat and I'll make like a joke, and then I'll be like, "Ha! I came up with that." You guys are my writers. You guys are my writers. You guys should really go after the union though, for the writers union, because you don't get paid at all. You know,
knowingly ripped off my joke and thought you'd get away with it.
I don't understand why people have this like Streisand effect. You try to quell something, say it didn't even happen, you just attract more attention to it. Honestly, there's only one reason.
Knew that was my joke. Whatever you, because I started feeling sorry for him. There's no way he knew that was my joke.
Yeah,
whatever you think of James Corden, right? There is no way he knowingly ripped off my joke and thought you'd get away with it.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
I don't understand why people have this like Streisand effect. You try to quell something, say it didn't even happen, you just attract more attention to it. Honestly, there's only one.
That's not at all what happened there. That's not the Streisand effect. That wasn't him like trying to hide it. That was him removing the tweet because people were utilizing that to shit on James Corden and trying to make it seem like he steals jokes when he doesn't. He just happened to tell the same joke, and he might have accidentally had like his crew do it, but there was no way he knowingly did that. That was the point. But okay.
One real way that this will ever get resolved: if James Corden does a 1v1 on Fortnite Battle Royale with me, that's it. I'm still waiting on Kanye to do it. That was like before he got cancelled.
All right, well, that was a big nothing, but okay, cool.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.